NBA second round predictions and preview. Disclaimer. At the time of this recording, we've already have game ones of both the Boston versus New York series, the OKC and Denver series, and the Indiana Pacers and Cavaliers series, with Minnesota and Golden State starting their series later tonight. And yes, I understand I am slightly late, but your boy been a little bit busy. Better late than never. Let's get into these Dom picks. Let's kick it off in the Western Conference. We got OKC and the Denver Nuggets. Yes, I am still upset that my Clippers got knocked out in Game 7, but we move forward. Going into this series, I thought OKC could get over that hump. I saw them as a team with one more year of experience. I thought maybe they would finally get over that hump this year, but they made similar mistakes that they did last year when they lost to Dallas in the second round. That's a game that OKC should have won, and they should be up 1-0. Instead, they're down 0-1 right now. Before game one, I believe my prediction was OKC in 6. Now, I'm leaning more towards the Nuggets in 6 instead, because this was such a key game for OKC to win. They're coming off, a week or so of rest, whereas Denver is coming off a grueling 7-game series against LA. This was a game where they should have won, and then maybe Denver can regroup and take game 2. But now it's like the Nuggets have flipped all that pressure on the young, inexperienced OKC team. In the long run, I'm going to lead with Nuggets in 6. I don't think there's anyone on that Thunder roster who can contain or slow down Jokic. We saw him with 42 and over 20 boards with 5 or 6 assists. That was just an unfathomable stat line, and it really puts things into perspective because in the Clipper series, Ivica Zubac was doing such a great job of covering Joker, and you see in this series that the Oklahoma City Bigs are having some problems so far. We'll see if they can make an adjustment there. And then on top of that, I don't expect Jamal Murray to have a so-so game. We know he's kind of hit or miss in the playoffs sometimes, but I think for the most part, Jamal Murray should be able to join Jokic in this party. And shout out to Russ. Russ has been so heavily scrutinized and criticized over the last couple of years, but in his postseason, he's been really impactful for that Denver Nuggets bench and just team as a whole as he brings his experience, and he's been able to knock down shots and limit his turnovers, along with being aggressive and impactful on the defensive side of the ball. Next, we got the Golden State Minnesota series. This is going to be an interesting series that I'm kind of back and forth with. At this current moment in time, I'm going to take Minnesota in 7. Both teams are good defensively. Both teams have closers in Anthony Edwards for Minnesota and Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler for Golden State. Where I'm going to give Minnesota the slight edge is going to be their size. I will say this is the one series where Rudy Gobert was fortunate that there wasn't any lethal perimeter shooters, because we already know with the Lakers, they got Luka, Bron, and then after that it's hit or miss. But in this series, there might be a time where Gobert has to go out to defend a corner 3 from a Buddy Hield, a Pods, hell, maybe even Draymond. So I'm going to be intrigued in that sense. Another matchup I'm going to be intrigued by is the Jaden McDaniels versus Steph Curry. I think it's intriguing based off of how the Golden State Warriors run their offense. It's not like with Luka and the Lakers where Luka's going to just be dribbling out most of the clock. It's going to be different with this Warriors offense because Steph Curry is perpetual motion. He's going to be cutting. He's going to be moving around. He'll be getting screens from his teammates. I'm intrigued to see how the Minnesota Timberwolves defense can work as a unit to guard and contain that. And lastly, to close off my preview for this series, I'm looking at Anthony Edwards. And was the reason why I was hesitant in picking the Lakers last series. He has a pretty interesting playoff resume, if we're being honest. Go back to last year, he swept Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, beat Jokic and the Denver Nuggets in 7, and then came back this year and beat Luka and Bron in 5 in the first round. Now he has the opportunity to knock off one of the most successful franchises in the last decade in the NBA. I'm intrigued to see that same intensity from Ant that we've seen in previous series, and I think that's why I'm going to lean with Minnesota, because I just trust in Anthony Edwards. I trust in his mindset, his mentality. And then out to the East, we got the Pacers and Cavs series, and it's taken a crazy turn. Before all the injuries and the upset in game 1, I had Cleveland in I would say about 6 games. And going back to my previous video, I definitely underestimated the Indiana Pacers. That defense by Indy is amazing. If they would have gotten that defensive effort and intensity last year, I think they actually could have took Boston to 7. But we're here now, and this Pacers team is thriving. They took out Milwaukee in easy fashion, and now with all these injuries, it's lining up for them to win in, I believe, 5 or 6 games. It's not looking good for Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, DeAndre Hunter. If those 3 guys that I mentioned don't come back at any point in this series, then I'll probably take the Pacers in 5. However, I do think one, if not all of them, will come back at some point in this series. It just depends when and how much damage is done. And let's not underestimate it. There's some pressure on them. There's a little bit of pressure on Donovan Mitchell, I would say, because he's been on some good teams. I was thinking about this earlier today, and that Donovan Mitchell was on the Utah Jazz. I want to say, what was that? The 2021 season? It was after the bubble. And they were, if I'm not mistaken, the number 1 seed. And they got upset by my LA Clippers in the second round. Spider has already mentioned throughout this season that there's greater expectations for this Cavs team. It's not just advancing past the first round. It's not just getting to the conference finals. They think that they're championship material. They're going to have to bring a better defensive intensity. The Pacers were just able to get whatever they wanted. So I'm curious to see what type of adjustments on the defensive side Kenny Atkinson is going to make. But that's why you go out and you get a Jarrett Allen. Jarrett Allen should be able to be a capable rim protector, and he should be able to hold the fort as you wait for Mobley to come back. I like what I've seen from Tyrese Halliburton. I like his aggressiveness as a scorer and facilitator. I need him to continue to do that, because when he does that, this Pacers team is at its best. I don't think the Cavs are going to fold and get swept, but it's just the principle. If Indiana is serious about making a deep run, there's blood in the water, and they just got to go for the death blow. And to wrap up the second round, we got the Boston-New York series. The Knicks stole game 1 from Boston. If you follow me on Twitter, I was tweeting about it live. It was very important for the Knicks to win game 1. Going into this series, no one had faith in them. I think a lot of people only picked them to win 1 game. I didn't think they were going to get swept because this team has too much talent to get swept. But I think everyone expected a gentleman's sweep. But the Celtics showed why, at points, they're a team to be worried about. When they live by the 3, there will be games where you die by the 3. And those are one of these games. I'm not going to lie. 63 pointers attempted is devious works. I don't think they're going to have cold stretches like this often during the course of the series. Boston is a prolific 3-point shooting team with they got over 5, maybe 6 guys shooting over 40 or close to 40%. I think this was an important game for New York to get, because if they lose this game, I think all is lost in terms of their confidence. Now, even after a disappointing game 1 performance from the Celtics team as a whole, I'm still going to roll with them to come out. I'm going to take them as 6. And I was initially going to do that, but the more I thought about it before game 1, I'm like, I don't know, New York could get 2 games. Well, they've already gotten 1. So I'm going to lean with them to at least get 1 at home. And I think Boston finds a way to close out the series from there. New York can force a 7-game series or potentially come out and reach the conference finals if my man Cat can stop getting in foul trouble. It's actually insane because Cat was in foul trouble like almost every game last postseason. I think that's largely because of the defensive coverage. They're doing a lot of switching, which is putting Cat on these perimeter guys. And Cat is nimble enough to move laterally with them, but it's not a good matchup because Cat can be careless at times with his fouls. If they can find a way to keep Cat from getting in foul trouble, then that would correlate to his offensive game and him being more consistent there. He only had 14 points, if I'm not mistaken, in game 1, and that's largely because he wasn't able to establish a rhythm. Going forward, he's going to have to be more impactful, and I don't mean that he needs to be prolific behind the arc. If he can do that, along with using his size down low, because there were times when they had smaller defenders on him, Cat can definitely make an impact in this series. And then lastly, for the New York side of things, I want to give some credit to Mikal Bridges because he was criticized throughout the course of the season because he wasn't prolific offensively. And that's to be expected because you gave up 5 picks. I'm not going to lie, when you do that, there's going to be great expectations on your shoulders. In this game, he showed why the New York Knicks went out to go get him. First off, 51 minutes is insane. Tom Thibodeau's going to have to do a better job of giving him some breaks. But Mikal Bridges was phenomenal. He knocked down some key shots in overtime, and he made great defensive plays. If the Knicks want to make this a competitive series, they're going to need him to continue this type of play, along with getting contributions from everyone else. Josh Hart was amazing in this game, attacking the offensive boards. OG Anunoby was crucial in getting them back after they were down 20 in the third quarter. Deuce McBride, he's balling. He's going to have to continue to provide offense off of the bench. And to wrap this up in a nice little bow, I'm going to close it out with one more Boston take. This team is going to have to do better. If they're not knocking down threes, and I'm mainly looking at Jason Tatum and JB, those guys have to attack because they're getting mismatches, but they're settling for jump shots. Take the mismatch to the rim. Try to get a foul. Try to get an and one. Not only just that, but you can attack the mid-range. I feel JT's most powerful weapon is his ability to shoot over a smaller defender from the mid-range. I know they're still going to be firing up threes because that's just their game plan. That's what Joe Mazzulla wants them to do. After a game one performance like that where they took 63s but missed 45, I'm curious to see how they make any adjustments in the long run. That's going to wrap up Dom picks for the second round. If you're intrigued by who I had coming out of the first round, go ahead and watch my latest video.